Sometimes you've just got to go with your gut in NRL Fantasy, and unfortunately, I went against mine this week, and it cost me 80 points. Yeah, I was looking between Riley Smith or Tamale. Tamale was a definite trade out. Riley Smith on the chopping block with the minutes going down, but I thought I could still get a little bit more money out of Riley Smith, and Tamale's a definite sell. If Sharp is out, I could just place a Varla there anyway. As long as Lawson gets a respectable score, it's fine, right? Well, not when he scores 17 and Herbie scores 99. So, yeah, my decision to not loop Lawson this week and then bring in another guy because he scored terrible did make a difference, unfortunately, this round. And I'm now outside of the top 2K. But yeah, some good notes. Fanua Blake looked immense. Jaden Campbell was great. Nwanga Wase looked pretty decent as well, but it's just overshadowed by those Dolphins boys. How good are they going, by the way? They are absolutely electric. 150 points in 3 weeks and have gone from equal last to sixth in about a month. So well done to those that jumped on Tallis Duncan as well. Me bringing in Couchman wasn't quite the play, considering that for a lot cheaper I could have got 25 more points, but sometimes you've got to pick them. Kurt Donahue as well. It was the week of predicting the breakout. You can see Duncan had a good score in him at 80 minutes at edge, and any old edge can whack out a 40 and 80. But the looks weren't super promising. Yeah, you could argue this one would have been good without the bin too. But yeah, I did miss out here by deciding that it wasn't quite for me. And I was looking at a 45 instead of a Catchman 60. Donahue as well. 3 or 4 out of the last 5 games injury affected. But what happens during those injury affected games? Sometimes somebody stands up, and Donahue definitely has been standing up this last month and showed it this week. I'm happy that I have Cook. Yeah, I'm happy to admit I was pretty wrong on Kurt Donahue. He has turned into a pretty good option. Round 18 is off the cards. So unfortunately, with 2 buys, don't know if he's really somebody I'd rush to bring in my team anymore. But I mean, if you're missing halves, he is potentially a half. I do prefer Jerome Hughes, but so my idea this week is to just go in a little bit blind and look at some of the guys. We can decide whether they're going to break out properly or not. So on the Who's Hot list, we've got some expected guys. We've got Herbie, Hughes, Duncan. Very good. Bostock, 100 out of nowhere as well. That was absolutely crazy what the Dolphins did to the Cows, and he was nearly 120. He bombed that 5th one. But yeah, Katoa is a very strong one. Reece Walsh, he's very cheap. Both them, all of these. But none of these are really the kind of guys I'm looking for. So I might have to go digging. The kind of guys that you're not really heavily too focusing on, but if you pick up straight away, can really benefit your team. One that I have been thinking of, it has been tiny bit tossed around, but not many people taking it super seriously that I'm thinking of, is Celesi Foketi. So he went all right last week. Lovely step on that Knights player to go over for that try. And yeah, 320k edge mid dual plays round 18. Yeah, he's not going to be in your 17 for most of the year. But if you don't have one of Lawson or Fainu, considering that Lawson's been pretty ordinary and Fainu is still bench, I reckon you could do a lot worse than Foketi. He's let's actually bring up the team lists now. So he is starting. Oh my goodness, I can't type. He is starting. My brain can't work either. He is starting lock for the Roosters with Victor Radley out. Now, my thoughts on that are I don't like the chances of Radley coming back, at least straight away. Yes, he's got the round 17 buy off, but there was an article today coming out that he's gone to see an independent specialist. It's his 7th concussion in the last 4 seasons. He's had 2 this year. failed HIAs, concussions, and he's been taken off for a HIA 5 times. His tackle technique is just not conducive to him protecting his head. And considering how many Roosters have had this sort of problem, I would not be surprised if they take it very gently with him. Griffo, you may be mad that I am hyping up your man Feketi, but I think it is time that the world knows. I think Feketi is genuinely a decent shout at holding this role and breaking out at this point in time. So he's played the lock spot before a little bit. His PPM's not the craziest, but again, let's have a look. Let's filter by that lock position. PPM looks trash, but 70 points scored in that game and 52 points scored in that game. And the Panthers won both of those. So yeah, this other game, there was a decent amount of points, but he was going at a much better PPM in that one. So yeah, I'm cherry picking a bit here, but there's a few things that suggest to me that Feketi might actually be a legitimate option. Not basement cash down, but he's similar price to Lawson at the moment. Not Lawson, sorry. Who's the other bloke? Yeah, him and Fainey's not too much above them. And I don't mind his prospects. I don't mind his ability to maybe fill a role. And if he scores a 40, 45, and you can loop him in round 18, sorry, with Keon week to week at the moment, I'm probably holding him. There's news that he's avoided surgery on this potential fractured eye socket, but it's also fractured eye socket, so it's a little bit, who knows? So I'm probably going to be keeping him around. If Feketi worked for my team and I didn't already have these two, I would strongly be considering bringing him in this week. Unfortunately, I cannot. And I'm going to have to figure out what pathway do I go on from here. Because if I've got two potentially dead spots with a bad scorer here and a bench scorer here, if he doesn't end up going into the 5/8 role like we thought, it's going to be pretty hard to field a strong, solid team with that weakened depth. So, where does Scoop go from here? Well, first of all, I'm going to keep Riley Smith because the Eels have no Mitchell Moses and no Dylan Brown, which because Dylan Brown ran into a ref. And we got Papali'i, just Joash Papali in the 5/8 role. And you would expect Riley Smith gets probably 80 minutes this week at least. So he's hard to loop because he's the last game of the round. But I might give it a stab. If I can figure out a game order there where I can sort of loop Haas, Aaron Clark, that type of situation, I probably will go that way. But yeah, let's see. So Aaron Clark there, Payne Haas there. If Aaron Clark is bad, then I just play Payne Haas at mid and be done with it. And if he's bad, I'll just play Riley Smith and be done with it. Okay, so that works out. If he does well and Neil Blake's there, Haas. Yeah, okay, so that's pretty much the only situation that I would go for that. And yeah, in that case, I'd probably, if he went pretty well and well enough, I would just do something like that. Or if I was confident that Haas looked like he was going to play back up, do all that, I would leave Cook out and I would bring Riley Smith down. But that's the situation at the moment. Mark Nwangani-Dawase versus the Cowboys, albeit with Origin Stars back this week, is probably happy enough for me. I've only got the two centres at the moment, which is a little bit scary. Well, not really counting Lawson, somebody that I want to play. So I will be definitely looking at Karaz in round 18, I would say, or Herbie in round 20. It's just a tough one at this point because I've got a few wing fullbacks, I've got a few halves, I've got a few dual guys. If Drinkwater continues to be shocking, I'd say that's a much easier pathway to get both Karaz and Herbie. At this stage, I don't think I can. Maybe I get Karaz and Nwangani-Dawase becomes Herbie in round 20. That's probably a little bit more likely. So this week for me, main captain, I've got to figure out what the heck I want to do with some of these guys. Savala survives another week. Smith survives another week. So I may just end up holding trades. This doesn't look too bad a squad for this week. I've just got to sweat a little bit on Drinkwater and his low floor, unfortunately. So I might leave it at that for fantasy and my team, and go over a couple of the other things this week. Who should you buy? That's a little bit different. Fermor, he's fine, he's good. I suppose I have to talk about Chris Randall because Chris Randall went really, really well, but David Fafita is finally named in the reserves. And I just don't like buying somebody like Chris Randall when Fafita always lurking and now actually properly lurking. So yeah, we'll go with that. Anyway, let's go to SuperCoach, where I had an okay week and I made 15 ranks. That is now the highest rank I've ever been in Supercoach, which I think is pretty cool. And not as fun games for me here because, well, I have both Olakuatu and Kolomatangi to deal with this week. I have Garrick and Karaz on the bye and Lawson. So I'm bringing Lucas down to play in my centres this week. Using Kane Radley with that duel. And I've got to decide whether I want to buy another edge or not. So Savala is probably a good one because there's no kick meters in Supercoach. So he may, I've already gone Olakuatu to Kutoa. That's a very easy trade. Do I go Savala to, how much money have I got? Heaps. Let's see who I can get for Savala. I can bring Tino down permanently, but maybe not this week. And the best edges available, Hudson Young, huge, but a lot of buys left in still Origin. He's probably late season. I don't love many of these other options. Hey, Viliami Kikau is on a buy. So yeah, I might just end up running with this squad at this stage. If Tino plays, I might just straight play him over Nafahu White. Yeah, it's probably a good week to just keep. Otherwise, Keon very likely would have gone to probably Hudson Young or Preston in the next week or so with his injury. But now that he is avoided surgery by the look of it, he lives on, and Hosking lives another day. What do you do with this bloke, though? He's just not the dominant guy anymore. And with Nathan Cleary missing 3 of the 4 games between round 15, 16, and 18, is he the guy to go out now at the end of Origin instead of Jerome Hughes? Possibly. Is Nico Hines a guy to get rid of now? Oh, if he's going to score like that against the softer teams, maybe. Let's have a look at the guys who you can get for Nico Hines instead. So Isaiah Katoa doesn't get the crazy scores that he gets in fantasy because, well, no goals and no kick meters. He's just so involved. His floor is very, very high because he's always involved in try assists and try contributions. He's got so many points in that per week. Luke Metcalf is having great, but he's not playing round 18. I'd say that it's really sad when Jamal Fogarty, as a super coach option, is the 3rd highest averaging halfback. Gone are the days of the Cleary and Hines 90 average duo. So at this stage, it may just be that Nico Hines turns back into Cleary later for me because Daly on the bye, don't love that. Do I bring Sandon down and just stick him there for a few weeks? Probably not. Jamie Humphreys, probably not. It's just not a lot of options that I love, unfortunately. So some of the guys that people are bringing in, Hines out, and you've got like your, I can't even see who they're bringing in for the halves. But yeah, for this, I suppose the last thing to really talk about is what the heck do you do about these Dolphins guys? Herbie, you just get him in. Easy. But Jackie Bostock, has a minus 72 break even. And he's about to play the Knights. He's about to play the Knights, and then he is about to play Rabbitohs and the Sharks and the Cowboys. Is he worth picking up even at that price? I would say if you need cash to turn somebody into a gun in round 19, you could do it, but only if you aren't really loaded here already. If I didn't have Marzu, I might consider it, but I don't really have room for another guy who's just not going to be that consistent, awesome scorer that I want to be in my centre wing. What a boom game, though. He would have been on for 200 if he didn't bomb that last one, which is pretty crazy considering those other scores. So, who is the next Jack Bostock then? Who is the guy who you can catch that big score potentially to boost you up the ranks at this point of the year? So, I'm going to filter this just to the centre wings and the fullbacks because probably they're the big boom guys, right? I could add edges, but I mean, who are you relying on for the edges to go big unless their name is David Fafita or Hudson Young? You kind of know what you're getting there. LES, we could tell a lot of people are buying. It's pretty obvious. So let's have a look at the top ranked teams. Who's everybody bringing in for centre wing and fullback? Kirby, Teddy, Bostock, pretty high as expected. Karaz this week? Is that correct? Don't know. Campbell, yep, good price to bring him in too. Pappenhausen, very highly owned. Bo Thermal, yeah. Izako, well, if they're going to get that many goals, yeah. But there's not a lot of huge, cheap guys you might be able to just, or even pod guys you might be able to go boom with. If I was to pick a guy that might go boom for you, his name might cause you a bit of pain as a main fantasy watcher, but if you play Supercoach as well, you may be a little bit more open to this. AKP, he's scored back-to-back doubles and his break-even is now minus 30, and he's still at a price where he can go up a lot and potentially get you a couple of really big games before you turn him into somebody else gun for the rest of the year. Because he plays Para into Cows, into Broncos with Origin players backing up, into Tigers. That is about as good as you're going to get for a potential boom game from somebody who is a very up and down kind of guy like AKP. If you can whack out 1 or even 2 tons in those 4 matches mixed in with the 20, you're probably going to take that at his price, and you're going to sail away with those price rises. Yeah, look at the crazy opposites of these scores: 70, teens, 20s, 80, teens, 90, 80. The 4th highest score this year for him is 71. The 5th highest score for him is 28. That just tells you he's a tries merchant for scoring wise, and you're going to like it. You're going to like it when that happens. Yeah, look at that one. 28 and 17. So you do know that it is a bit dodgy looking, but if you're looking for a Bostock and you don't want to buy Bostock, look at that price change. Isn't that insane? I reckon AKP is the next most likely. You could go. Oh, I want to say Dallin with Tanese Lesniak. Let's just look at him. Dallin with Tanese Lesniak with this amazing Warriors draw to finish. Like, that's really nice. You've got weak Panthers, you've got Broncos, who may be good now, but not dead sure. Tigers, Knights, Titans, Finns, Dogs, Dragons, Titans, Eels, Manly. So you're going to get some spike games in there, but the problem is his last 2 scores have been 30s with tries. So yeah, I prefer AKP for me. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck may do well as well, but he's like 560 or something, and you're just going to buy a good guy at that point. Yeah, 572. All right, so that's my Supercoach thoughts this week. I'm probably just going to go to one, hold Colo, and just grit my teeth a little bit and bank on some lovely Jerome Hughes points, and we'll go from there. If Hines and Hughes are both gone and rubbish, because they have been known to do some pretty low scores this year, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's going to be a rough watch anyway. Do you downgrade to somebody? Maybe. But, yeah. Drinky, I'm going to still back him. I'm still going to be relatively happy. For me, would you even VC May? Because you want that high score, high ceiling? Maybe I VC Herbie. That's probably going to be very, very popular. VC Herbie into C Teddy versus Cows. That seems nice and logical. I think I'll go with that. Anyway, guys, that's enough from me this week. Fantasy or SuperCoach, you've got my thoughts. You've got the breakdown of a couple of interesting looking guys that may work out. If you're looking to be a bit different, bit of a return of scoop pod hunting and breakout hunting. But we'll see how it ends up going this week. I may be well off, but I haven't been too bad with my punts in SuperCoach this year, so we will see how that ends up going. Until next time, we'll see how it goes. See ya in round 17.